Please rewind this cassette.
I don't even know where to begin here, man. What the what the hell was going on with the Chewie metal in The Rise of Skywalker? I want to talk about a lot of things with this movie, like individual things that are just mind-boggling and don't make sense. But I want to focus right now on Chewie getting his medal. So if you remember from the original Star Wars, that at the end of the movie after they blow up the Death Star, Luke Skywalker, Han Solo get medals from Leia at a big ceremony, and then Chewie gets no medal. And for some reason, this became really controversial with the fans. But here's the weird thing, right? So you're sitting in the theater watching The Rise of Skywalker, and obviously the reason that Chewie didn't get the medal in the original is that a lot of things weren't fleshed out in the original Star Wars film. Like when you go back and look at Darth Vader, Chewbacca was probably just seen as a creature that was Han Solo's friend. I don't think they thought Chewbacca was going to become the thing he did, and then he would become more of a character as the series goes on. So I don't think George Lucas really thought about it that much. I don't think he thought anybody would care. But because Star Wars became so big, everyone's like, why doesn't Chewie get a medal? There's racism in this galaxy far, far away. So you're watching Rise of the Skywalker, and Maz Kanata comes up. This character who just has random shit. She has Anakin's lightsaber. Um, it's Trump giving Chewie his Medal of Honor, Medal of Bravery. Oh, but anyway, she has Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber, and then she tells Ray that that's another story for another day, which we never got that other story for the other day. Who is this character? Why does she know all of this stuff? She has a relationship with Chewie. She's like, where's my boyfriend? According to the Star Wars Holiday Special, Chewie has a wife and kids, so he's been fucking around on his wife with Maz Kanata. But then she hands him the medal uh, at the end of the movie when everybody's celebrating. She hands Chewbacca the medal. Now, the question this raises, did Chewbacca get Han or Luke's medal at the end of Star Wars 9? Now, there's an interesting idea, right? Does she have the medal that belonged to Han Solo, and now that Leia has passed, she's giving this medal to Chewbacca? Now, see, this is what a clever filmmaker would have done and a good screenplay. They would have written in the movie that Han Solo is dead and the whole galaxy is upset. They would have had this happen in The Last Jedi. And then at some point they'd be like, well, what do we do with this stuff? We have these things. And Leia could have been going over these things. And she could have looked at the medal. And that would have been a nice little like, oh wow, she gave him that medal, and it would be this nice memory for us, the audience. Instead of those dice that were in the Falcon. I don't know why those were significant. But the medal, and then in this movie, Leia's passed, she has Han's stuff, and then when the movie ends, somebody gives Chewie Han's medal, you know? Like he would have been proud of you. That would be the emotional connection, right? But because this wasn't set up in The Last Jedi or in any of the movies, really, where the hell has this medal been? Maz Kanata out of nowhere basically hands Chewie the medal, and she's like, "Here, I have this thing." Why does she have it? I guess because Leia had it. But they never give you background on it. It's never implied. There's no dialogue to say that this was Han or Luke's medal. So it just comes across as what it's intentionally supposed to come across as an audience moment. And J.J. Abrams at his absolute worst. This is so Abrams. In the way that Ryan Johnson is cringe with his subversion, JJ is cringe with his fan service. So JJ is like, no, the audience is going to love it. Chewie's going to finally get his medal. And I won't deny it. I chuckled in the theater, but it wasn't a chuckle of like, oh my god, love. It was more like, I can't believe you're fucking doing this. I can't believe you're actually giving Chewbacca the medal from New Hope. It is goddamn ridiculous. I mean, this just sums up the problem with this whole trilogy, not just this movie individually. It's a trilogy of movies where it doesn't really make sense how one thing happens to another. Like everything that happens, none of it makes sense. More so than the prequels from a writing standpoint. Nothing makes sense in The Force Awakens. Like where did the First Order come from? Who's Snoke? All that. Last Jedi. None of this makes any sense. Well, why can you now use hyperspeed to go through ships. Why didn't they do that before? Then in this movie, they're like, oh, it's a 1 in a million shot, even though it clearly wasn't. And then Chewbacca getting the medal. How does she have the lightsaber? Why were the Knights of Ren in that flashback with Kylo? The dream sequence that Rey had in Force Awakens. Nothing came of any of that. So Chewbacca getting his medal, this moment happens in the movie, and you're supposed to register in your brain. And this would have maybe worked a few years ago when Force Awakens had come out, like when they pan over to the Millennium Falcon. And I remember everybody in the theater being like, yeah, it's the Millennium Falcon. How fucking stupid we all were. But this time they get the medal, and you're supposed to react to it and be like, oh my god, nostalgia. I get that. I get that Chewie didn't get his medal. I remember that at the end of Star Wars. And you're supposed to feel that, but because everything is so confused and not explained, and they've milked all of the nostalgia and the goddamn blood and soul and heart of this franchise, and the brain as well, you are left with a moment where it feels like you're no longer watching a movie. You're no longer immersed in anything that was happening. It's the director very much directly saying to you, here's this thing. Here's this thing that I know that you know, and I'm going to show it to you, and that'll make you happy because I have nothing else to give you. It reeks of desperation and poor planning. It's a ridiculous moment because, like I said, there is an emotional way to it, but even doing that is unnecessary. We don't need to go back to the past in order to have an emotional connection or make something work now. You're supposed to create new things that are supposed to give us that sense. This just shows how they missed the point. They thought that the medal at the end of New Hope and Chewie not getting it, they thought that's what fucking mattered. And this just shows what these people were prioritizing when they were making these movies, what Disney was prioritizing, and they missed what actually mattered. It's character and all. Like, this is nothing. This is empty. So, like, I'm being harsh on it, but it was just, I remember being in the theater when Chewie got his medal. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? And I haven't been able to process it as the weeks have gone by. The more I think about it, the more silly it is. And it's just, and now people are writing, did Chewbacca get Han or Luke's medal? It's like they're trying to explain something that is just in there. This isn't the briefcase from Pulp Fiction, all right? Which, by the way, Sunny D is what's in the briefcase in Pulp Fiction, if you were wondering. It was Sunny D. This, on the other hand, like, I mean, what were they thinking, you know? Like, it's pathetic. So I don't know what to think about this. Does anybody genuinely like Chewie getting the medal? Or are you like me, where this is like one of the most embarrassing things of the entire movie? And this is a movie filled with a lot of shit, and we'll talk about that down the road. But this is, for me, like, at the very top of the mountain of just confirming so much of what a lot of us felt and the criticism starting back with The Force Awakens. And it all comes to this. It all comes to that medal. Because it's not just saying, hey, Chewie gets the medal. It's giving the audience the medal. It's giving them what they want. It's like, here, you get it too. Here's your reward for being a fan. But you can't give us what we want. But then you can't be Rian Johnson and you know, shove a rod up our assholes. You have to find that middle ground. You have to give us something we didn't know we wanted. And then you also have to make something good that stands on its own. And everybody has failed to do that with Star Wars for so long. And it just all comes down to this. It comes to a fucking dog getting his medal. And it's... I mean, Jesus Christ. Is there any more? I wonder if there's any other funny images of this. That's funny. Yeah, I guess everybody thinks that it's Han's medal. I didn't even think about that when it happened. Because that's the thing, there's nothing to establish that. So it wouldn't register. Oh my god. You know what? Fuck this shit. Look, Chewie doesn't care. Look, he's just standing there like, whatever. Like, Han's smiling at Leia, Luke's smiling at Leia. Like, Chewie's just, like, hanging out, you know? What's the big deal? Look here, look how calm Chewie is, right? Then Chewie here. Just, like, fucking frightened. A frightened teddy bear monster. God, that's horrifying. Jesus. Nothing is scarier than this, though. This is one of the worst. Oh my god, that looks bad. Anyway, Chewie got his medal.